Welcome to the show, everyone. Oil, since the last Fed meeting, is up 54%. Gold is down. Bitcoin is down. Markets are in disarray. And two of the most powerful people in America are basically admitting that they have no idea what the hell happens next. So today on the show, we're going to examine what they're maybe not saying. Also, is MicroStrategy's STRC and stablecoins at large, are they part of the solution or yet another trap? We may have some spicy takes on that today. Plus, Walker has a return of a retard of the week. And also we have some dystopian takes from one of Bitcoin and quote unquote crypto's original voices. The whole gang is back. Drop a like, strap in. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is Bitcast. The issue is not red or blue. The issue is between the state and you.
It can be a little bit of a warning sign.
It gives you a tool to empower.
That sounds like a utopia, my friend.
It is. It's exactly a utopia.
With Bitcoin, no one can take it from you.
All right, everybody. We are back. Another episode. Walker, I see your Miller. I'm going to raise you an Alberta genuine draft, my friend.
Well, I'll be raising you a Negroni in just a moment here. So take that, you son of a bitch.
Cheers, boys.
And it begins. Cheers.
Yeah, to the subverters and autists out there.
So are we going to address the elephant in the room? Who's beating you, Walker, and do you need help?
I was just so clumsy. I fell down the stairs. So stupid.
What did you say to Carla, buddy?
So stupid. I told her Bitcoin was going to zero. No. My son, who's apparently channeling, he must be an incarnation of Randy Johnson. For those that don't know, that's a pitcher, not like a weird euphemism for a dick. But it's Arizona Diamondbacks, for those who don't know. Yeah, the kid threw a water bottle at me in the middle of the night after he was shitting himself all night and clocked me right in the old orbital bone. So I would have thrown it back, but he's a 2-year-old child. So
yeah, well, I'm glad you're not in danger. It's most positive. Gents, let's chat about what the hell is going on here. There's been even more strikes on oil infrastructure in the Middle East. Things are starting to boil over, and Mr. JD Vance just today was chatting about the situation. He basically said, hey, it's going to be a rough road ahead. But he also said, and he's referring in terms of prices of oil and kind of everything downstream of that. But he also said that this will just be a temporary blip. To me, it kind of comes across as like max 2 weeks to flatten the curve vibes, because honestly, nobody really has a friggin' clue. Now, on top of this, we also had the Fed. The Fed held interest rates steady as all of this is ramping up. So they're kind of between a rock and a hard place. Obviously,
more like he ran in a hard place.
It's so funny, eh? Like, these guys are so
get it, guys? Because your rock was the last time. So, yeah. All right, I'm sorry.
Now I do nice. I do want to play a little clip of what he had to say here. I'll make it nice and big for it so we can see. One sec.
But the implications of events in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. In the near term, higher energy prices will push up overall inflation, but it is too soon to know the scope and duration of the potential effects on the economy.
So basically, they have no idea what's going on, or he doesn't want to say what they think is going to happen. Either way, they can't, everything's still pretty inflationary. There's standard of or cost of living is shit. With all the oil and everything that is not getting to where it needs to be as easily, that's going to put upward pressure on prices and everything downstream of it. But at the same time, industry is kind of in the shitter too. I don't know that they have an easy out here, or that they can even pretend to know what's going on, which is kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. But I'll before we continue on with that, I'm just curious your guys' thoughts. Who wants to jump in here? Where are we at?
I'll go. Since I'm Canadian and we're getting just to dunk on Americans here for a second.
boy.
It's funny, like the number. First of all, classic Canadian kid show. Okay, my daughter's 1.5, and as you can hear, I am sick. She is sick, and so we're watching a little more TV than we normally would be. And the Canadian kids will remember the Big Comfy Couch. Do you remember that show?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
remember that fun little clown jumping around on a giant
That's right,
couch.
Lunette, who aged like a fine
Sounds
wine. By the way,
problematic.
if you ever look her up,
It was.
you know, at the end of the show, after she's made this, sort of like huge mess of toys and books and accessories, she stands on the couch and goes, "Hey, who made this big mess?" And the camera fucking zooms right in. "Oh, I did?" And the camera nods. I guess you're right. That's what these guys remind me of right now. They set the rates, they decide on the wars, they fucking do all this shit wrong for decades. And then they look at each other and go, "We don't really know. Things could go either way." Like, buddy, this is really your fault. You're the one who made the mess, and you guys did all this shit. And so you got like, I ran this, I ran that. How about I ran up my fucking credit cards and they're paying Israel now, and I'm fucking living in the slip? That's how you should feel if you're an American, I think, right? Canadians are in the same boat, but it's nice to see us sharing the pain a little bit for once in the last few months.
Very interesting, Joey Walker. As an American, can I get your response to that?
As a red, white, and blue-blooded American, I just, every time I watched the entire presser today because apparently I'm a masochist, and I don't envy Jerome Powell. He's got a terrible, terrible job. That's a terrible job. But the thing is, nobody should have that job. Yeah. That's the problem, is that he has that job. Like, I don't envy him. He's in a fucking terrible position. But that job shouldn't exist. And there were a few things that stuck out to me from that presser. The times where, like Joey said, where it's basically like, well, we'll just have to wait and see. And the whole room of reporters is like, ha, 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 ha. Like, yes, that's right. We'll just have to wait and see. It's like, you sycophantic fucks. Like, everybody's just glazing Jerome, old J Powell. But the point here is that it's just so absurd that I forget what the exact quote was. I meant to write it down earlier, but I'd started drinking already a little bit in preparation for this stream. And he said something to the effect of like, well, we just we do what we can. We don't really have a crystal ball. We don't really know. We just, as the new information comes to us, we just react to it and we just do. And I was just thinking, shockingly, about Bitcoin. And I was thinking how, thank God, there isn't somebody at the center of Bitcoin that can just say, well, we got some new information. I guess we should maybe just change the monetary policy because, and we'll maybe change it again next month and it'll be fine. And it's just so patently absurd. The other thing he was saying was he was talking about the different forecasts that the different governors give, right? Because they were like, well, there's a little bit of discrepancy between the different governors. And he's like, well, yeah, everybody, you have to give an answer, but nobody really knows what it is. So you just put something down. And I'm like, dude, are you hearing yourself? This is just patently insane. It's patently insane that we have this cabal of central bankers that get to set the price of money. Lawrence Lepard, I talked to him once. I've talked to him many times, but I talked to him once and he said that like our grandkids are going to look back on this the same way we look at bloodletting. It's just insane. Like, they're like, what do you mean you let this like group of unelected banker bureaucrats set the price of money? Are you fucking insane? That's just so stupid. How could you think that was a good idea? It's nuts to me. It's nuts.
No, it's crazy. And you saw the market react as well, too. I think there was 3 Fed governors that dissented on today. And in taking a look at the FOMC, the Fed watch here, rate cuts for the rest of the year have not been priced out. There's no rate cuts priced in for the rest of the year. So the fact that this can swing so quickly just based on, one, I think it's terrible data because it's not inflationary. Maybe we can unpack that a little bit as well, too. It's a supply shock, right? It's not that they're creating more currencies, thus prices are going up, but there's some more new demand and economic activity, therefore prices are going up. It's an artificial supply shock that could, honestly, like, it could be over in a week. It could be a year from now. Like, we got no clue. But you're right. We're hanging on the every word of a bunch of guys who are kind of going by their gut feeling and won't even really give any forward guidance all that much. But Brandon, I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, got the boonie on. I told the boys, hat tip to Joe Kent, Mr. Joe Kent, and for being a real one. And this is the thing at the end of the day. I mean, people are freaking out everywhere. You have the Glenn Becks freaking out. You've got Donald Trump saying, I don't really trust this guy that much anyway. I didn't think he was that smart. You're the one that hired him, Donald. Just FYI, newsflash, you hired him. And so this is one of those things as a Bitcoiner, you start to see, whether it's, your slay your heroes, right? As we always say in Bitcoin, you start to see when people are talking out their ass and they're talking beyond their scope. The Gell-Mann amnesia effect, where people just take whatever someone else says because it's like, hey, I'm not an expert in that area, but anytime someone opens a mouth in another area I'm not an expert in, then I just believe it. And we're living that everywhere. And it's both sides of the aisle at the end of the day. And we were talking about the Joe Kent from 6 years ago where he tweets right before Trump left office, like, we need to bomb Iran. And then people are like, well, what changed? What changed? A lot's changed in the last 6 years. If you haven't noticed, COVID, everything that's come out. So even a Green Beret, someone who was in it, his wife died in a terrorist attack 15 years ago, or a suicide bombing 15 years ago. His mind might change, and he's director of counter and national intelligence. He might have some more information than all of us have. And so you have like, talking heads, people everywhere saying this, doing that, the Judge Napolitanos, the Glenn Becks, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, the Fox News, CNN. I mean, everyone's got something. There's like a spectrum. It's a wheel, and everyone's got a different take. And there's no like, oh, there's this side and that side. It's literally a wheel, and everyone has a little bit of a different take all the way around that. So this is just wild. Going back to AQUA, I acknowledge exactly what you guys are all saying with Jerome Powell. They have no idea what's going on. They're reactionary. I mean, these guys are doing things. Yep. They're lagging indicators at the end of the day. The market does its own thing. 8 billion inputs, trillions of inputs, 8 billion people. And these guys are just, the tail wags the dog in the day. They have no idea what's going on. They're lost at sea. All they know, though, is that they are stealing all the time and energy away from all of us and then starting more wars at the end of the day. And that's why like people are freaking out of like, this guy, this is insane. Like the Joe Kent, he's gone. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence of like what he's saying? It's like the evidence is that no one came to the American people and said, hey, here's all the evidence. We're going to war. Do you guys agree? Here's a vote. No one did that. The absence of the evidence is the evidence that we should not be in the war. Like that.
There's
right
no
there.
accountability.
None.
Zero. So it's that the admission is there was no evidence. If you had the evidence, you would come and say, hey, here, we need to do X, Y, and Z. Okay. When Thomas Jefferson wanted to go take on the Barbary pirates, the Muslims, 225 years ago, he wrote to the American people. He got the Quran actually and said, hey, this is why I'm doing this. He converted, he translated the Quran to the American people and said, hey, and wrote in it, this is why we're going to war with these people. The shipping lanes. This is happened before. And the fact that we're not doing this at all now just shows you how beyond the pale any and all of this is. So again, follow the money. Bitcoiners know this more than anybody. It's follow the money. And you have all these political commentators everywhere. Cognitive dissonance like crazy, just mind reading Donald Trump, mind reading the other side, this side, that side. It is nuts. But follow the money. The incentives will show you the outcome.
I would just maybe throw on top of that, Brandon is a dirty liar. We're not at war right now. We haven't been at war since 1944. Only Congress can declare war in the United States. So Brandon, please stop spreading misinformation. The United States is not at war. We have not been at war since World War II. You're just imagining the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans' lives lost and all the sparkling conflicts. It's not full champagne. It's not real war. It doesn't come from the war region of Congress. It's just a little sparkling conflict. So I just wanted to clarify that so that nobody calls Brandon a liar.
This is very good.
Really, really quick on this. This is a great point. And this is what Bitcoiners understand. This is the Jeff Booth line of you can't change reality from the current system. Yeah. Someone like you talked to a Nolan Bowerley who was like, yeah, like, what do you mean? The Constitution doesn't exist at all. When's the last time we followed the Constitution? So to your point, I can make arguments for both sides. Joe Kent looks like he might probably tell the truth, but I can also make an argument that like Donald Trump is sitting here and being like middle fingering everyone saying, screw you, international law is completely fake. Constitution? Who's followed the Constitution? So 2 things can be true, 10 things, 100 things can be true. And that's what Bitcoiners know better than anybody. So you kind of just have to sit back and just take it all in, take care of your family, stack sats, put in self-custody, and just kind of sit back and you remove your pieces from the chessboard and say, this is psychotic. This is good versus evil spirits. I'm out. I'm going to let you guys all kill each other. You can all martyr yourselves, whatever. And I'll be over here to pick up the pieces when things are done.
Damn straight.
And it's not just Trump, right? To be fair, not just Trump. That's the last thing. It's not just Trump. It's like there is no red, there is no blue. There is the state, and this is you. Going to war against the will of the American people is a bipartisan issue, right?
It's basically your national sport, Joey.
It is funny that we talked about
national sport? Sucking
lacrosse. I think what's funny. The Fed is an interesting central bank too, because Powell gets up there every month and says that they're data dependent, but then the Bureau of Labor Statistics does downward revisions. Like the Department of Downward Revisions is telling him every month that the data for the last quarter is no good. Our friends in Europe, the Europors, their central bank is interesting because unlike the Federal Reserve, they have a single mandate. So the Fed's dual mandate is full employment and inflation, right? Price controls and full employment.
Yep.
The EU central bank is single mandate. It is inflation. So you have this, like you said, Nate, supply shock that's like driving the price of oil up. Their mandate says they have to respond to that, even though there's nothing they can do, right? And the Fed and ECB are both in the same boat where It's actually the price of their bonds that dictates what their policy rate is. So if you look at the 2-year treasury note in the States, the Fed is always chasing that dot, right? If it's a little high, they'll come down to it. If it's a little low, they'll go up to it. They're on like a quarter delay, maybe, let's say, sometimes 6 months, but it always gets to that point. The whole thing, like Walker and Brandon are talking about, it's all a sham. It's just the whole thing is a sham. And there's tons of people who like sit and pretend that the stuff this guy says has an impact on like the day-to-day lives of everyone. It shouldn't. It should not. It should not have, like, there should be no repercussions from this nice old man who should be like traveling with the Grateful Dead, watching their shows instead of doing whatever he's doing.
Very specific.
He's Deadhead. He was seen at a concert a couple summers ago. You guys didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
I would love to have a beer with Jerome Powell.
Same.
Like, you asked me one person I want to interview and have a beer with. Honestly, Jerome Powell.
He seems like a decent guy.
I'm very skeptical about humanizing these people, but okay, I get where we're coming from.
Was he a lizard?
Well, you can't humanize a lizard, you know?
And Joey, to your point, man, like, I feel like they're going to completely, they're going to react in the wrong direction, because you're going to have a situation where we have a supply shock due to geopolitical events driving up oil prices. They treat it like inflation so that they raise rates. You already have that stress on economic activity, right? So you have the oil going up, making economic activity, kind of depressing economic activity, and they increase the rates on top of it. When it gets freed up, you're going to see just complete snapback in the other direction, to the point where I expect to see deflation after this, right? I think this ends in deflation and basically an economic halt, because you're just screwing with the system. Ben?
Nathan, do you think they genuinely, because I'm flabbergasted by this, it's like they genuinely do not understand that creating, like, inflating the monetary base is the core cause of inflation, and that when you get inflated prices from a temporary supply shock, that's something completely different. Like, it's like, again, this is, I mean, perfect example is what we're experiencing right now is like the horrendous job that only teaching Keynesianism in school has done for everybody, where we're sitting in a situation that in the Keynesian school of thought should not exist. It's impossible, and that is stagflation. We're getting inflation while fucking industry is in the shitter, and that should not be a thing. And so, like, the levers that they have, that's why the Fed is like, we're just going to leave it here because we don't understand what to do in this situation, because it shouldn't be a thing. So, like, do they genuinely not fucking get?
They know. Their only interest is keeping their power and keeping their position. All the incentives just line up in that sort of sense. It's all an illusion. Like, even moving interest rates hardly does anything anymore. The jawboning, right? The forward guidance, the psychological impacts of what they say and do has way more of an effect than actually adjusting 25 basis points on the overnight window, right? It doesn't really fucking matter. The bond market's going to price in what the bond market's going to price in based on supply and demand at those durations. So they've already lost power, which we saw for sure happen during COVID, because again, they came in like, we're going to save everybody, and the market did not give a shit until fiscal spending came in place on top of it, right? So I think they know they're in a sweet position. They want to keep this ring of power that enriches them and their buddies, and they're going to keep pushing it forward. But I think they know it doesn't work, which is why they rely so heavily on the meetings, which is why, like, the fact that you guys are watching the meetings today, like, what the hell are we doing?
Did you guys watch Love is Blind? They had that one guy who's like watching the fucking
what a segue.
Oh my God! What is
you gotta watch
you
it?
Canadians
Watch
need some
it.
exogenous testosterone.
He's watching the Ted meeting with his new wife.
Oh my God! Wait, quick point here.
In the landline.
Did you guys hear what Powell said about stagflation today?
No.
Did anyone catch that? He was asked about it specifically asked about it by a reporter doing their job, and he's like, "Well," they're like, "Do you think this could, what you're describing right here seems like it could kind of be leading to stagflation. What are your thoughts on that?" And he skirted the question multiple times, and the reporter kept bringing it back. Good on this journalist for actually being a journalist, not just a fluffer. But
Could you define fluffer for the audience later too? Please continue.
Joey will do a better job at that. I think he worked in that industry for a while. But anyway, he said, "Oh no!" Finally, when he answered, "Oh no. Stagflation, that's it happened in the 70s, and that's where this definition comes from. And we had double digit unemployment numbers and high inflation, but stagflation." He's like, I That's really just a thing of the past. I don't know if he said thing of the past exactly, but he said basically that's a thing that only happened in the 70s. I'm not worried about that right now. And it's just like, you're not worried about it. Just like you weren't worried about persistent inflation during COVID, just sticky inflation, like just like you and every central banker in the world, Christine Lagarde, it's inflation's like a hump and it will go down, it's whatever. That was more German than French, sorry. But the point is, he was basically saying like, oh, no, we can't have stagflation anymore. That was just a thing for the olden times, at the beginning of the fiat standard. Not now that we've perfected the fiat standard, not now that we've perfected the art of stealing from the common man. No, sir. No more stagflation here. It was just insane to me. It was insane that he was like, no. It's not a worry right now. That was just a thing that happened in the 70s. History couldn't possibly repeat itself or rhyme with itself. No. Just nuts.
He can't say it. Like Nate made the point. He can't say any of the stuff he knows to be true. Because by the way, the data says
he's not dumb.
He's not dumb.
He's not dumb.
But he's not dumb. Yeah, he's not dumb.
No, it's gotten insane. But do you have that clip of the politician that was also talking about how like they don't care how this impacts people? See if you can, see if you can pull that up and we get it because I'm sorry. Like,
I don't have that clip. If anybody does have it, toss it up to me and I'll bring it up.
I'll find it. I'll see if I can find it in a second. But
which one am I right, boys?
that's kind of part of the problem, right? Their incentives are to actually not give a shit about you. The taxpayer, the population ends up becoming a tragedy of the commons, right? They don't give a fuck about us. It's about keeping themselves in power, enriching themselves, and they'll rotate through. That's why you'll see them align on like the worst possible stuff. But Brandon, I want to get your thoughts on this. I've been ranting a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the social contract has been broken, and this doesn't get talked about that much. But the social contract is what the 45 and under crowd sees. And when you're millennial basically and under, you've seen what Y2K, the .com crash, 9/11. You've seen the housing crash, great financial crisis. You've seen just all kinds of ridiculousness in politics. And you saw COVID. On and on, right? Wars pulling out of Afghanistan, people flying off planes trying to get out, and then you've seen, we're going in, we're going to shut down wars, and we're going back into. I mean, like, what are we doing? And then you have kids that they can't afford houses, they can't do anything. You can't even buy groceries. We're all dependent on the government. This is all Western countries basically. Immigration, massive issues, massive problems, and no one knows what's actually happening. So the social contract has been broken, but I think that the bigger story in all of this again is just the auditing. Like the word of the year going forward is auditing. I don't know if it was Scott Adams before he passed away had said this, or maybe he said that in late 25. It's going to be auditing, and it's or audit. And so Bitcoiners again know this more than anyone. It's trust but verify, or don't trust, verify, and that's the world we are in now. We are entering that world where, like I mentioned Glenn Beck earlier, and I'm always trying to watch people from all these different areas. And Glenn Beck was like, I want the proof. I want the proof. So even the older generations, people are starting to see this all over. They want the actual proof. They want to see the every 10 minutes. I want to see the transactions. I want to see what's actually happening. And society is having a hard time kind of coming to grips and seeing what's actually happening and putting all the pieces together, because we're in the middle of this transition. So that's what makes it very tough. The fourth turning, all the cliche BS, but it's true. It's cliche, but it's true. And that's what's happening. That's why it's very hard for people to see. And you have to zoom out. You have to get off the Titanic on the lifeboat to actually see what's actually happening.
Boys, let me pull this up here, and then Ben, you give me your thoughts on this. But we have from friend of the show, Simon Dixon, who I might be recording with tomorrow. Trump economic advisor Kevin Hassett just said, if the war were to be extended, it would really disrupt the U.S. economy. It wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy at all. It would hurt consumers. But that's really the last of our concerns right now. So let me go ahead and play this clip. I haven't checked it out, but I bet you it's great.
The U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now, because we're very confident that this thing is going ahead of schedule.
Oh, they're not really worried. Ben, do you like that? What are your thoughts there, buddy?
The best part here is, for the longest time, we've had, I mean, with any politician, but like this administration, it's been happening. It's happened with Biden, but it's always, everything is fucking great. And if you don't realize that, then you're not looking at the numbers. But people are talking about their lived experience. And this guy actually just differentiated between the US economy and actual people. He basically said, like, listen, on paper, this shit's going to be great. The stock market's going to be fucking fire. people
Asset
that need
holders
to
gonna
have
win.
Yeah, like people who have expenses and like have to buy things and are like middle class. Yeah, they're fucked. But like, I mean, we're not caring about them right now. It's like, how's the stock market doing, bro? that's the vibe that I get from that. It's great.
Nathan said it. Like
Bingo.
you're just a variable in this equation, right? Like you are not on the right side of the equal sign in the equation. You're just a stepping stone to get the result that they want. And unfortunately, it doesn't really matter what number you're represented by in the moment.
No, 100%. Walker?
First of all, I'd like to say he's like, oh, well, it'll just hurt the consumers. You mean every fucking citizen, you fucking tard?
Yeah.
You mean,
Which ones don't
consumers? You
consume?
mean literally everyone? You mean everyone? It'll just hurt everyone? Oh, well, as long as it's just everyone that's not you, because you are balls deep in fucking defense company, stock ownership. Oh, well, that's okay then, buddy.
Insider traded it, by the way. Bought it, a month before the invasion, probably.
Well, of course, because
Really?
he's using.
That's not
That's
suspicious.
It's unbelievable.
shocking. That's
It's
shocking.
unbelievable.
I also want to shout out. I want to shout out to the Bitcoin veterans. Real quick, I know we've got Operation Bitcoin in the chat. I know we probably have some other Bitcoin veterans in the chat, and I want to say to veterans generally, thank you for your service. I tell this to every Bitcoin veteran I meet, and I mean it. I mean it in the most serious way possible. Because, and the Bitcoin veterans I've met are the most based people in the fucking world. Because they've literally they volunteered to fight for our country. They volunteered to fight. I don't know what you Canadians do up there, but presumably maybe we have some Canadian veterans in the chat, in which case you guys are based too. Canadians are generally based, just, except Joey. But the point being, shout out to the veterans, shout out to the Bitcoin veterans. You guys volunteered to do what is these days a thankless job.
Yep.
And you did it, like the individual never wages war. It is only the state which can wage war, but the individuals pay the cost. But there are patriotic individuals who fight for what they believe is right. And then what I've seen from Bitcoin veterans is later they become disillusioned. They find out that, you know what? I wasn't fighting the war for the reasons I thought I was. Or they were fighting the war for the reasons they thought they were, but the war wasn't being waged for the reasons that they were told. And like, I just want to say shout out to the veterans, because you guys are some of the best among us. And we appreciate you sincerely.
I got Mike Hobart's book is behind me here, The Second Renaissance. He's a Bitcoin vet. If you haven't read that yet, pick it up on Amazon. It's a good read. Short book. Yeah.
I just want to point out, by the way, because segue the conversation, it might what's it called throw the conversation off a little bit. But I realized you're saying I get the sentiment. I'm completely anti-war, and it's funny enough. A lot of veterans tend to be in that position as well too. I think it was like Ron Paul had the most support from active military at the time. But when you were talking, Walker, the thought that struck me was that you're right. It is a thankless job. And so are a lot of times are the trades guys. And so are a lot of times are the entrepreneurs. All the masculine builders and protectors are the ones that our society is no longer appreciating and ostracized. And it's just fucking ridiculous. Ben, your thoughts as a podcaster who probably didn't get enough recognition as well too.
I mean, I don't know where to go with this, man. I did want to go back to something that Walker said. He said, there's some good based Canadian Bitcoiners. Except for Joey. But I mean, I feel like that's offensive. We know that, how could you say Joey isn't based when he's so excited for the next episode of Love is Blind?
Listen, everyone has a guilty pleasure, okay? And I sent the Reddit thread into the chat on YouTube. He wasn't just watching the meeting with Powell. He told his now wife, or soon to be wife, that he was in the meeting with Jerome Powell. He was in the meeting. So incredible moment there from not good. Wow. It's just not good. It's not good. Not a good scene.
That is amazing. Gentlemen, I do have some good news here. I did share it on Twitter, but there was a great comment. Now it's lost in the mess here. But it was I'll just read it to you guys just so you know. But many people are saying that Bitcast is quickly becoming the most handsome podcast in Bitcoin. There is a comment in the comments section here. This panel has proved adopting Bitcoin makes you more handsome. So congratulations.
Was it a man or a woman that commented?
I don't know.
That? Just out of curiosity.
It doesn't matter. It's hard to. You can't not recognize something that's so obvious. I mean, come on.
Bitcoin gives you time for self-care.
100%, dude. 100%. Yeah.
Unless you fall down the stairs like a clumsy oaf.
Tough one.
Walker, you're supposed to say, hey, you should see the other guy. That's the story you're supposed to tell people.
Yeah, that'd be really fucked up if it was my son, man. Like, come on.
No, you lie completely.
Yeah.
Now,
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Now, gents, again, in situations like this, when things get a little crazy, people typically look to different vehicles to protect themselves from the volatility and the craziness and the wild markets. But in this particular situation, right now, we're seeing gold is down, Bitcoin is down amongst all this craziness, which we have seen examples of this in the past with other panics. COVID crash, Bitcoin also dumped, gold also dumped, and so it can be an indication of, and anytime shit goes down, somebody's getting margin called, they have obligations to meet. They're not trying to figure out what's the best thing to sell. They just sell whatever's liquid to get cash in hand and deal with those obligations. So I think we are seeing a little bit of that there. But on the other side of the hop, we're going to talk about practically navigating situations like this where there's just global uncertainty for so much shit. How do you actually deal with it? And there's a couple things that we might get a little bit spicy on. I think there's some disagreement on the panel about how some of these may play in, but one of them we'll touch on stablecoins, but another of them is MicroStrategy's STRC and what's going on there. So I want to get takes from all you guys, like good, bad, or is this another fiat trap perhaps, when you could just be stacking Bitcoin? So we'll talk about that on the other side of the jump. Everybody that's watching, if you're enjoying the conversation, make sure you drop a like in the video. We'll be back in just a moment. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC Sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet, so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions. All right, we are back in. I first of all, let's chat a little bit. Gold, Bitcoin dropping on the day for all of this uncertainty. We'll call it again. Blip on the radar, noise, not the signal.
That's my thoughts. Yeah. Like, we're going to see some volatility, but we have basically giant geopolitical chaos, and everyone's like, is it World War III or will it be done in a week? Are they almost complete the mission, or is it going to September? Is oil getting through? Is it not getting through? Are there mines? Are the ships insured? What the fuck is going on here? Why is the energy so much more expensive in Asia and they don't have any gas, but it's cheaper in America? There's a whole bunch of, it's just instability, right? You have instability because no one knows what's going on, which I can't, it's funny because every now and then I can't tell if Trump is just a fucking genius or he's just that fucking crazy, because it becomes completely unpredictable. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm very curious to see if Simon Dixon's call that China might be negotiating an end to this come April actually comes to fruition. Because if I see this wrapped up quickly, that would be absolutely wonderful. And everything he's laid out so far matches up. So I think it's just market volatility, right? We have uncertainty. People panic, like you said, Sessions. They still move to dollars. They need cash to meet their obligations. They'll sell whatever the hell they can. I'm just actually happy to see that it was only like a 2.5 percent drop on gold and like 3 something on Bitcoin. It's like, okay, we're not getting pounded anymore. It stayed above 70. It might be famous last words. I haven't checked what the price is right now, but it's like, okay, I still think the bottom is in. But back to you.
I would just say quickly, like, fuck, guys. If you are worried about Bitcoin, like, oh, it went up to 75K, now it's down to 71,000. Like, dear Lord, guys, we got to sack up a little bit here. We just got to sack up, Sally's. All right. And if you don't have a sack, that's okay. We appreciate you being one of the 5% of the viewers who are women. All of you ladies, we appreciate every single one of you. But seriously, it's like we're in this point where people are debating like, oh, is it going to go like a little bit lower? It's like all of this is a rounding error. All of this is a rounding error. And I feel like it's easy to forget that sometimes. It's easy to focus on the here and now, and understandably so, right? This is what we do as humans, right? But like great civilizations, great dynasties, great legacies were never built by focusing on only the here and now. You have to focus on the long term. And if you're not focusing on the long term, I don't know, you're going to stagnate and die, or you're going to make stupid decisions. But you know that Bitcoin is either going to, infinity divided by 21 million, or it's going to zero. There isn't an in-between where it's like, oh, well, Bitcoin just went to like 150,000 and that was the highest it ever went. And that was we're in the year 2140. No. This thing either wins or it fails entirely. And so you have to either you're on one side of that trade or the other. I know what side I'm on. I'm on the side where I know where Bitcoin is going. It's going to go up and to the right forever because fiat will always be debased. And we're measuring it with an elastic measuring stick. So like, take a moment. And I'm guilty of this myself. I'm guilty of pricing my life in fiat. And then I think of Jeff Booth. He comes to me in a dream and he's like, you stupid fuck walker. Why are you pricing the system from within a system? And I'm like, sorry, Jeff, I love you. Anyway.
Not only that, Walker, but it's not only just like one or the other, but it's dependent on the choices that we Bitcoiners make right now. It's in our hands. We can do it. Ben?
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to touch on a couple other things. First, let's start with, I put a poll in the live chat right now in regards to MicroStrategy's STRC. And I said, is this a good investment or a trap? And it's kind of split a little bit more.
Not so much, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit more towards good investment. There are some things about it that give me pause. That it's really hard to explain. There's just this like guttural, I feel bad about it. It feels very fiat games-ish to me. And part of it is like how they pay out the dividends and things like that. Like, where's that funding coming from? And yeah, I know they've got a big battle chest and everything, but like end of the day, I feel like eventually this is not like a continuously viable thing. Like there's something comes home to roost eventually. But anyways, Joey, I kind of want to get your initial thoughts on STRC, what they're doing with it, and kind of where you're at. Maybe just give a little preamble for those that are unfamiliar. What the hell is STRC?
Oh man, where do you start? Okay, so STRC is Stretch. It is what is referred to as a preferred share. So it's senior in the capital stack to MSTR, and I think maybe a few other vehicles they have there in that tree. It's basically, Saylor calls it, and when he did that speech about like the iPhone moment, that's, what he was talking about, this like digital credit thing, which is fine if you want to call it that. I don't know that I would. There's a place for this vehicle in a portfolio if you're like a traditional investor. Consider that the yield on Stretch is like 11%, I think, right now.
11.5.
So there you go. It's pretty high. And if you can get that 11% on something that, I'll try my best to channel the punter here a little bit. If you can get that 11% on something that's over collateralized by, a factor of 10 or a factor of 15, whatever that number is, you would take that basically every time because it's pretty solid. And what it is, more or less, is the answer to something like a T-bill or other dividend yielding stock position in a portfolio. The interesting thing about Stretch, obviously, is that there's no traditional assets backing it except basically the value of MSTR, which more or less now, I mean, I don't think there even is a less. It's all about the value of the Bitcoin holdings and Bitcoin sentiment, which has been a criticism. There's, firms like K33 and there's a couple others who have made the point that, and I view this as actually a pretty weak criticism, to be honest with you. I know there's probably a lot of maxis in the chat who disagree, but the idea that like they can't weather a drawdown because everything is sentiment based. Well, I would argue that that's basically the case for the entire stock market. And unlike things like the Mag 7 that are investing, like I don't know if you realize the NVIDIA flywheel that's kind of happening behind the scenes. NVIDIA sells their chips, and then those companies that buy the chips use the chips as collateral to buy NVIDIA shares, and they produce more. Like, it's a total scam. And we could talk about GPUs another time. We talk about it in the private chat enough, but this is really not the most. It's not the most flimsy investment vehicle out there. I'll say that. And if you're replacing treasury bills, which I think now, what is the yield on a 5-year T-bill? 3.25%, something like that. I have no idea what it is. Maybe if Nathan knows, but
I'll pull it up.
Yeah, it's pretty low. So you get like a triple or something like that on your money. And as long as you think Bitcoin's going to be all right, and Walker made the point earlier, like it's either going to zero, it's going to $1 million. I don't think any thinking person believes it's going to zero. I think the only debate now is what.
I didn't say $1 million, Joey. I said it's going up into the right forever.
Infinity,
you Canadian fuck.
Infinity. Sorry, Laura. Yeah,
3.876 on the 5-year treasury.
So it's about a triple, right? So you got to ask yourself, if you're investing in T-bills, especially short duration T-bills, why would you wait, number one, a year for the payout? I think STRC pays monthly, which is another feature of that product. And two, why would you take 3% if you're in short duration? It's not like you're taking the risk of sentiment turning and a dip in Bitcoin really nuking MSTR is very low over 365 days, 90 days, 120 days, the way that these guys treat paper products on their balance sheets and in their treasuries. So I think you're going to see more of what Strive did recently. Strive bought, I think 50,000 shares, something like that. I don't know what the number was, but
so weird.
It's not really like it's good because you want to see people embracing Bitcoin as a collateral asset. This is a big thing. And so for us as retail guys, I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I would much prefer to use my stack to take fiat loans the way that all the guys who have made big money investing in scarce assets have done over the years. And the more big institutions and big firms are able to do this, the more that it legitimizes it for that use case. I'll just finish with this. People in the chat, I don't know, I don't have the chat up, but I would guess that in the chat, there's a mixed bag. You mentioned the poll there. It's like 50-50 or 60-40. The question I have for these people is like, what does it matter to you if Stretch is successful or not? If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If you don't like the 10% every month, or every year, I should say, paid monthly, don't buy it. If you don't have in your portfolio bonds, T-bills, other dividend yielding stocks, if you're not a dividend aristocrat, then don't worry about it. But there's a lot of people who want that position, dare I use the B word, especially boomers who want some exposure to the benefits of Bitcoin in their portfolio and a little bit of stability to come with it. There's not really a better vehicle to do that with than this. And so while I don't invest in it myself, I can see why people who are looking for a different outcome or a different risk curve, right? They're looking for a smoother ride. I don't have a problem with that. And I don't think anyone should have a problem with it. And by the way, like, you can feel whatever you want about Saylor and about the presentations he gives and about the AI slop rocket ship picture he puts up every presentation now. But you have to admit that this guy, for all the negatives, has been a overall net positive for Bitcoin. There's no way you can deny this. And
my only disagreement would be whether or not the story's finished yet. Right? Because we don't know the end state of where things are going. He's holding on to a shit ton of Bitcoin and heading towards $1 million. Again, that could affect the price. I don't think he is necessarily a bad actor. I'm just saying the game's not finished.
Yeah, it's not finished. But if you're Mike, can I call you that, Mike? If you're Mike, I would just I'll try to put myself in his shoes, right? His whole company depends on now the price of Bitcoin continuing to rise and him continuing to accumulate. And maybe most importantly, the sentiment around his continued accumulation continuing to be net positive. I don't think that's going to change. What I do think is that as Bitcoiners get older and as Bitcoiners realize they don't want to sell their Bitcoin, but they still want to play in a market that allows them to benefit from Bitcoin price action and sentiment, they will start to gravitate towards this. And I think this is something that's not priced in right now for that vehicle. The price of that thing, by the way, I didn't even mention this, is supposed to stay steady at around $100
par. Yeah.
Yeah, so it moves up and down a little bit, but he's done so far a pretty good job. Like you said, Nate, the story's not over, but he's done so far a pretty good job of keeping that $100 par by adjusting the dividend yield, issuing and issuing common, whatever, to pay that dividend. To your point, Ben, that's how they do it. So, it's like he's for sure operating in uncharted waters.
Yep.
But I don't think the waters are that rocky, and I don't think they're going to get that rocky for him, to be honest.
Fair enough. Walker, your thoughts? And
okay, so I know that it's very easy, I think, for people to, especially Canadians, to, I'm just kidding, guys. Guys, I just want to clarify also, when I make Canadian jokes, I love you guys so much. You live in our attic. You're like the little gremlin up there. We love you guys.
No, we deserve it. We're like that annoying little brother in a lot of ways.
No, I love you guys. You are our brothers, especially on Bitcast. But the only place where Americans and Canadians cannot punch each other in the face. Not the Canadians have ever punched anyone in the face. They're too polite, eh? But okay, here's my quick point. When it comes to Saylor, you see so many people dunking on him when the price is dumping, right? The guy has done probably maybe the only other person who's done as many podcast appearances speaking so succinctly, eloquently, and favorably about Bitcoin. Maybe Lynn Alden, maybe Jeff Booth. Like maybe I don't know who else you'd even put in that category. The man has brought more people into Bitcoin than probably anyone else, legitimately.
Yep.
1. 2, I've had the privilege of spending like a little bit of time with him and listening to him speak. Dude, the dude is so autistic, obviously, but like
too autistic for Epstein. Let's not forget.
Yeah, I think like, and this is just my analysis of him. I've met a lot of really brilliant, very wealthy, heavily autistic people, because like there's only a certain way you can get to that level. He is like at the fucking top, man. This dude is insanely fucking smart, and he knows the game he is playing. You also need to remember, he's had an insane amount of media training. He knows how to speak. He knows how to not rock the boat. He knows how to subvert and get what he actually wants in the background while he says things. And I'm not saying he is for anyone in the media that's listening. He's Michael Saylor means exactly what he says. I'm saying the guy is fucking smart, man. He has understood Bitcoin better than anyone else in the corporate world, and it's not even close. It's not even fucking close. So people may want to shit on him. People may want to say, well, he shouldn't have that much Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. That's the point of fucking Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't care if you're Michael Saylor or if you're Joey Canadian Cuck or if you're, on Love Island, or if you're Kim Jong-un. Bitcoin doesn't care, but Michael Saylor fucking gets it. And everyone has to at least acknowledge the dude gets it. And what he is doing right now, he is in uncharted waters. And I don't think anybody understands, 10 years from now, we're going to look back and say, oh shit, well, that was obvious. That was obvious how brilliant it was in retrospect. But if you're aware of it now, it's like, damn, as the kids say, let the man cook. Is that what they say? I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I don't know. I don't know what the kids say. I'm sorry. That sounds stupid now.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I waffle back and forth. The things that do give me pause are when there's a seeming pushback to actually just using Bitcoin, and the idea that Bitcoin can coexist peacefully with the dollar. I think that's not going to be exactly how that pans out. And I don't know if that's an internal knowing that's just not being presented to the world, or if that's a legitimate belief. But either way, yeah, when I hear things like, oh, well, we can issue a currency on top of Bitcoin. I'm like, wow, it's just presents opportunity for Nixon shock 2.0, right? It's not, history isn't repeating, but it's rhyming very, very closely. So things like that kind of in terms of how we handle Bitcoin itself, I would hate to see that rug pull, but this time around, we do have the opportunity to opt out of that system and just use the thing itself, and build systems that aren't as easily rug pulled as, paper issued to represent gold in a vault that nobody has auditability of. So with that, I do want to touch on one other quick thing before we go into the third segment here, and that's the idea of stable coins. And are they a way to get people into Bitcoin, or are they actually a Trojan horse for the eventual panopticon, CBDC kind of system? And so one of the people that has been kind of sounding the alarm around this stuff, her name is Whitney Webb. And so this is just a tweet. And it was spurred just yesterday because Powell, the CEO of Tether, is set to speak at a conference and attend a gala luncheon with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. And, there's the Clarity Act. There's all this stuff kind of circling right now in Washington around kind of regulating these things. And she said, Tether is not just a stable coin. It has huge investments in brain-machine interfaces, data centers, satellite surveillance tied to Lutnick as well, content creation, and much more. It will not only be a key part of the basis of the new digital dollar, which Mark Goodwin called back in 2021 when it was still an unpopular talking point. It is also meant to be an entire ecosystem for technocratic control. And then she goes on to make some references to some books and reading and stuff like this. We were mentioning Jeff Booth. I know that he has her book, and he seems to maybe lean towards some of the things she's saying here. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, is this just a wolf in sheep's clothing, or is it kind of above board? Where do you guys stand on kind of the stable coin push?
It's structurally accurate the way you're describing it as a panopticon. I mean, stable coins are desirable for a lot of reasons. They're desirable for their use in developing countries like Canada that has a weak currency, right? You'd rather use and hold USDT than you would a Canadian dollar, for sure. I mean, you'd rather get paid in USDT, you'd rather get paid in Bitcoin than you would the Canadian dollar. It's digitally native, which as much as we understand to be a risk, let's face it, we're UNC status, and the kids now are much more interested in having that sort of thing on a wallet, digital wallet. They don't care about the panopticon. They're raised in the panopticon. Yep. It's like asking the fish how the water is for them. And I got to say, yeah, exactly. And I got to say, like, Paulo, look, I don't know Paulo personally, and I try not to read minds, but you can't tell me that he has been trying to break into the US market for the entire time Tether's been around. And he's finally found a way to do it on the back of Lutnick and Mallers. By the way, I view Mallers as one of the most sort of disappointing falls from grace in Bitcoin. A guy who was, touted as a visionary 5 years ago for buying a Coke at a bodega with Bitcoin or whatever he did on that video at the conference. Now his vision, hold your chairs here. Make sure you're sitting down. Bitcoin Treasury Company. Who could have seen it coming? True visionary. Anyway, like, these guys all got into bed together with one thing in mind, and it was to get Tether into the United States, and they've done it. And so you got to ask yourself, with every other country moving toward panopticon thinking, with every other country suddenly aligning on stuff like age verification, do you think that the Tether stablecoin is going to give you the freedom to transact in a way that is private? I don't know, Walker. You think it's going to give you that freedom? I got a feeling you got something to say about it.
It's definitely not, but I'll jump in there quick because one, I do want to touch on STRC, and I'll probably get my word in a little bit near the end. But to be like in favor, like okay with STRC, but then have questions about Mallers in his company, it's like they're both playing fiat games to me. So I put them very much.
Sailor never pretended to be a visionary. Sailor
never pretended to be a visionary. No,
Sailors are recovering financial fraudster. So, for him to come around to
you now slander the name of Michael in my
come
presence.
around to Bitcoin is big for me. But Mallers was never that type. In fact, he's still giving presentations where he views himself as like this deity visionary. But what has he done? He's hopped into bed with Lutnick. Maybe is he among? If you made a Mount Rushmore of fiat guys in the States, is Lutnick on there? He's for sure in the top 10. If you got 10 guys in that stone, he's on there. And then he's gotten into bed with Paulo, who is, I think we all agree, driving a surveillance token domestically in the US. Does that strike you as a visionary guy? I can't help you if you think it does, but I'm willing to hear your thoughts.
Depends on the vision.
After
But before
Brendan.
I give up my thoughts, I'd like to hear from the Navy SEAL in the bottom left of my screen.
First off, I got to say Ron Paul was also too autistic and based for Epstein. So that was also,
Yes.
just got to say that he was in there and they didn't like him. Let's just say that. Again, this is the stables, STRC. They're just an interim. Like Ben said, these systems can't, they are, one's going to eat the other, the fiat legacy debt-based Titanic or the Bitcoin ecosystem. And stablecoins, stretch, everything. That's still in the fiat system in my eyes. Because the caveat of all this is that, and Brian Armstrong, our retard of the week, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, he admitted
Every week.
If you're every week, he is an honorable mention this week as well. If you are an American company, you are at the behest of American law. So if the government comes 5-6 years ago, again, we got to give him credit where it's due. He said, if government comes to me and says, we're going to take all the Bitcoin, they're taking the Bitcoin. So as long as you can play the games right now, yes, it's a great investment. It's a great floor. Can I play these games? Like I come from the real estate world. So like you can play these games. I can raise money, buy real estate with other people's money, reinvest it, refinance it and pull it out. I have an asset that I bought with none of my own money that can save the cash flow in Bitcoin. Like it's this great flywheel. You can do it in business. You can do it in real estate. It's a mind-blowing side tangent that more people haven't figured this out in real estate and in business, and what Saylor's doing and Grant Cardone and some of these real estate guys are starting to kind of figure out. But that's, I digress. So first principles in nature's law are undefeated. They're undefeated. And I come from a more political revolutionary world and just the sense of history, knowing where these things go. All fiat currencies go to zero at the end of the day. So this whole thing about digital credit and all these things coming, I don't know how it transfers to the new world, to the Bitcoin only world, but at some point that it will be only a Bitcoin world. Some point. We don't know if that's next year or if it's 10 years, 100 years from now, but it will be that world because enough people will get sick of the current system and they'll opt into the voluntary protocol, the open protocol that no one can mess with. We don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know. So yes, it's a mismatch of time horizons is what a lot of what's going on, right? Where it's like, well, if I'm 80 years old and I just want to retire, then yeah, stretch is great. And all these things are great. Like you said, Michael, he's, in there with Ron Paul, he's too autistic for these guys, for Epstein. And it's like, whether he's a bad actor or not, it doesn't matter to me because it's time and place. Like if you have a different priority, then okay, great, go do that. To me, it's like, hey, I want to defund the system as quick as possible. So I'm going to put everything into Bitcoin as much as I humanly can, because I want to defund the creature from Jekyll Island. I want to defund that monster as much as I can. And I'm just one guy, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to keep talking about it until more and more people come that way. So history shows this over time. It's one of those things that, hey, we've all got a choice to make. And I don't know. I think it's one of those things that history is going to be kind to the people who jump on the Bitcoin protocol long term. Yep. But in the interim, of course, if you want to play games, sure, go ahead. But history will show that it's undefeated. What I said earlier, nature is undefeated. First principles are undefeated. Truth will always wins at the end of the day, but we just don't know when that is. So in the interim, sure, you can hit that slot machine, those handles. And I love Saylor. Like I said, I mean, I this is the thing. I kind of stand in the middle, but just know where the end game is. I guess that's, to me, is know where the end game's at. It's all coming down. The Titanic is going down. It'll be 12,000 feet under the sea in the next couple hours. We just don't know exactly, when that time is, but position yourself accordingly.
No, I completely agree. Now I'm just thinking about whether or not the Titanic hit an iceberg or was hit by a missile. But sorry, it would be a torpedo. My mistake there. But like when it comes to stretch, like the issue that I have there, and one, I do, like I worry about the collection of coins sitting there at Coinbase. I worry about a 6102 at some point in time as well too. And I'm not trying to take shots at Saylor. If there's a 200K party, I'd really like an invite to that. I think it looks like a lot of fun. Could be a good time to hang out. But I do like, one, the flywheel of something like stretch requires there to be a premium against the assets, right? And there's no reason that can't be, like, confidence can't shift or the assets can drop in value, or there's just no longer a demand. These constant demand for the preferred stock coming in as well. You can even see a situation where like Bitcoin rips and everyone wants the common stock with the more upside, or Bitcoin itself. And then you get like, I don't think it can't last forever, right? I don't think that the premium will last forever. The demand won't necessarily last forever. And then the thing breaks apart and falls apart, and not necessarily sure what happens at that point in time. But again, Brand, to your point, depends on what your time horizons and what your priorities are too. Because again, I'm not here for fiat games. I'm here to fucking take over the world and replace the money and fix all these problems, right? I don't want an investment. I want a working, savable money to deal with all the issues that we have. And for me, and again, I'm not trying to take shots. Do not financial advice. Do whatever the hell you want with your money, and you absolutely will and can think that I'm wrong. But I very much view like shit coins as an attack on Bitcoin. They're distracting and pulling away capital. They're besmirching the reputation. They're slowing adoption of Bitcoin as money. And I view these fiat games as doing the same thing. I'm not interested in a better like return on my like treasury equivalent product in my portfolio. I'm interested in Bitcoin becoming money and fixing everything down at the base layer. So I don't like it for that reason. But again, do whatever you want. I'm probably wrong on something there. Walker, go ahead. What are your thoughts, man? Maybe correct me or back me up a little.
Okay. I've got a couple of things to say. Some of them are addressed to you. Mainly they're addressed to Joey, my arch nemesis.
Let me have it, bud.
Okay. First thing I'll say on this is regarding Tether. By the way, I am in no way paid by Tether. I have emceed Lugano Plan B and El Salvador Plan B multiple times with my smoking hot wife, who is now
Who
pregnant.
punched you in the eye? Yes, congratulations.
Thank you very much. We need to make more Bitcoin babies, especially during the bear market.
Hell yeah.
Here's what I want to say. One, Tether has become the most profitable company in the history of planet Earth without having access to the US market. They don't need it. They've become the most profitable company in the history of the world on a per head count basis, especially. It's like fucking insane. They've got like 50 employees. Most profitable company in the history of the world without access to the US market in any meaningful way. They don't need the fucking US market. Trust me. Point two, I met Paulo before he was CEO, when he was CTO. The dude is a fucking hardcore Bitcoiner. This is just my personal opinion from personally reading the guy. He's a hardcore Bitcoiner, and everything he does is actually with, I'm just going to say it. It's with a lens to actually like subvert the state and increase freedom. That is my read on him. Maybe I'm wrong. That's also my wife's read, and she's a much better judge of character. You can tell so because she picked me as her husband. You know what I mean, boys?
Heyo.
Heyo. Okay. So just want to throw that out there. 3, people are going to use stablecoins. Mostly, where are they going to be used? Outside of the United States. That's where, again, they are most popular. That's okay. People should use what they want. Not everybody wants to use Bitcoin. In the global South, they love using stablecoins because the US dollar is more familiar than Bitcoin. Now, they also use Bitcoin more than we do as a medium of exchange. 2 things can be true at once. You can say that, like, yes, they should just use Bitcoin. Stop telling people what to do with their money, Joey, Canadian. I'm just kidding, guys. But no, seriously, it's like we have to be realistic. We have to meet people where they are, not where we want them to be. That's just generally broadly my thoughts on that. I think it's important to realize that, like, Whitney Webb, impressed by her work, her large body of work. I know that she has like a thing out for Tether. Again, I'm like, I have no dog in this fight. I use Tether on Liquid occasionally. Like I don't use it on shitcoin networks. I wish more people would use it on Liquid versus using it on Tron or whatever else. But like, again, can't tell people what to do with their money. The point is that we should at least be realistic about this. People in the global South who are the primary users of Tether, like most of the volume is coming not from America or from Canada or maybe from Canada more actually, because you guys.
It'll be coming more and more.
Yeah. But the point being, guys, that like we have to be honest about this. It's like, oh, they're enabling a panopticon. Like, then why are they releasing fully encrypted peer-to-peer communication protocols? Like, why are they releasing pair? Why are they releasing all these different things that enable purely peer-to-peer communication, file transfer, transactions? Why would they do that? Of course, Tether itself can be frozen. We all know that. They know that. Yeah. Nobody's pretending that it can't be. But in the same time, they're putting out all of this. They're funneling so much money into open source software projects that increase freedom. It's freedom tech. So like you have to ask yourself, it's like you can be like, oh, Tether is just bad. And that's an easy knee-jerk reaction to have. Howard Lutnick, like in his involvement, that's a different story. I don't know that guy.
I don't think you want to defend that guy.
I'm not going to make any defense of him. I'm just going to leave it right there. But I'm going to say, like, from what I know of Powell, from what I know of the team at Tether, which is very small, so it's easy to get to know them, they're hardcore Bitcoin maximalists. And that is how they drive everything that they do. And you can see that in their work. Again, like, I'm not paid by them. I think that, though, like, my read is that they are doing things that are generally beneficial to the overall Bitcoin ecosystem and to increasing the chances of hyper-Bitcoinization. That is my read. I'm happy to take Joey's low T response whenever he's ready. But like, this is my read.
Give her Joey any quick thoughts and then Maybe we'll get with Ben.
I mean, we're in the realm of maybes and guesses and things that we can't see. But I mean,
Maybe you
at
are.
the end of the day, like you look at Tether's history, and I would argue there's not many better indicators of future behavior than past behavior. And they've frozen funds a bunch of times. They're very cooperative with law
Of course they
enforcement.
have.
Yeah.
Of course,
and so
Tether. Dude, you know what? Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
I was very quick. I was sitting in El Salvador. Somebody, I was emceeing the event because of my buttery voice and my hot wife. But
It's
anyway,
not real. The voice is not real.
Yeah, it's totally
it's a filter.
Compression,
So is Ben's. So is Ben's. Why did his voice get so deep recently? Okay. Somebody came into the conference hall. They started shouting, fuck Tether, fuck Tether. Tether's a shitcoin. Fuck Paulo. Tether's a shitcoin. I'm literally standing right next to Paulo at this moment with his like fucking bodyguards because the dude can't walk anywhere now without somebody pitching them a fucking stupid project. Paulo looks around. He says, well, he's right. Tether is a shitcoin. Like everything's a shitcoin except Bitcoin. This is the mentality the guy has. Nobody's pretending that Tether is some sovereignty money. Like that's like that. It's just, Joey, I respect you as much as I may act otherwise. I respect you. It's poor framing. Get better framing. Nobody's making that argument. You're creating an argument that doesn't exist. Nobody's claiming that they're a sovereignty coin.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't think
Get
the
with
claim
it,
is that
bro.
they're a sovereignty coin. The question is like a guy who wants Bitcoin to win. You know, I'll give you an example. Okay, a guy who's a Bitcoin maxi owns more gold than like every nation state except for like I think the top 6, and I'm pretty sure he's in the top 7 gold owning nation states. So he's not only buying Bitcoin with his assets. That's problem number 1 for me, for a guy who wants Bitcoin to be the big winner. Problem number 2 is that he's, again, like the framing is not that it's a freedom coin. The framing is, what is Tether going to be used for by the parties who are engaged with the platform? There's guys like us who will use it for purchases, and Global South will use it as a store of value. But we're not the only participants. The other participant is the government. And the government is going to have a say in how that token is used, especially in the United States. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, no one does. We could guess out, like, you know, you have some good experiences with them and the stories I haven't heard before. And yeah, it'll definitely color my opinion. But the question is, what is the token going to be used for by the people who are going to be able to influence the direction that that token takes? And Paulo so far has been really the guy who's driving the use case. But once you start playing in the big ocean with the big fish in the US, you're just another guy at the table and you're not at the head anymore. You know, you said it yourself. You guys walk around with bodyguards. It's a big deal. And now that he's in the US, you know, there's going to be a lot more people interested in getting in his ear about how his token operates and is allowed to operate. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think it's fair to say that it's not meant to be a freedom token, of course, but it's not fair to say that a guy who's pro Bitcoin is going to set this thing up in the States in a way that's going to exclude him from the pressures that every other entrepreneur, every other operator, every other business has not only been hit by, but subdued by over the last 100 years. Now, he may be the hero in the story. I don't know. But it's not a place where I'd be putting a lot of chips.
Well, Joey, to your point,
why would you put chips in a stable coin anyway? It's a guaranteed loss coin, as Jeff Booth would say. It's not a stable coin; it's a guaranteed loss coin.
I don't mean like buying the stable coin. I mean like it, you know, how this turns out. That's all. I'll
say the only thing that I can be sure of, with everything we discussed, right? The only place that I'm confident is Bitcoin, which is why I'm just 100% there. It's the only one where I know how the story is going to end. At least I'm very confident, so long as I have crazy fuckers like you joining me on this mission, and we get some more coming in the chat and doing the same damn thing. So you're right. Like all these things could go a million different directions. We can't predict the future, but you know what? I can't predict TikTok next block. I'm pretty damn confident about that, and so I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket. Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think 2 things can be true. I think we can have somebody who loves Bitcoin that you know, created a stable coin and wants to utilize that as best they can to bring forth a Bitcoin revolution, but also that person to be subject to a lot of extreme pressures as that potential comes to fruition. I think that I don't know that there's a full-on danger that somebody might get stuck in the ecosystem there. But I do think there's going to be a lot of pressure in and around like how that actually functions at the end of the day. I think, yeah, absolutely. Like Tether or whatever in the absence of Tether, whatever the other thing would be, would also end up the same. And so, yeah, I'm not saying that anybody should even ever use a stable coin. But yeah, I think that we just need to be cognizant of like what's being built. And as Bitcoiners, just fucking use Bitcoin, man. Like just use freedom money and you'll be okay. But that said, you know, like it's worth like as we're watching this stuff play out, it's worth also letting people know like, you know, the existing legacy fiat system is shit, and the new thing coming down the pike may present itself as better than, but may actually just be a wolf in sheep's clothing as well. So
Ben, really quick, explain. Someone just said, what's the point of stablecoins in general? Could you explain really quick, just so people know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're in the US and you have a US bank account and you haven't been like ejected from the ecosystem or whatever, like everything's fine for you. But if you're in fucking Africa somewhere and you're Nigerian naira or whatever, like whatever your local currency is, gets debased by France on a whim, 50% overnight, things like that, then
Iranian real.
Yeah.
I'll say, Ben, not even just that too. I know Bitcoin-only companies in the space that use stablecoins to pay their vendors for supplies and shit because they basically refuse to have a bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's if you cannot operate within the existing system, but you need some sort of you know, fiat currency to operate on for general stability, you're likely going to use a US stable coin. You're going to go for you're going to go for the least shitty option, which in this case, for a person who doesn't have access to traditional banking, is going to be a permissionless stablecoin. Yes, is there counterparty risk? Absolutely. There is in the traditional financial system too, when you're using a bank account, which they don't have access to. So, you know, I deal with a lot of people working with the Human Rights Foundation, teaching them about Bitcoin and how to get around things and use Bitcoin as freedom money. But a lot of people do look for that stable value as well. We don't typically, you know, push them that direction. We say Bitcoin can function. You can get into a local currency from there, but there is genuine interest around this kind of stuff, and I don't think that's going away. Either way, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And everybody watching here, fuck that, just use Bitcoin, honestly. But we're going to go to one more quick break. On the other side of the hop, Walker's back with another retard of the week. And I'm very excited to hear this.
He's going to call an audible and make it me. I can already tell. I can see it in his eyes that he's going to do it. He's thinking about it.
No, that's not true. Nathan, please change the visuals.
Allow me.
If you're enjoying the conversation, drop a like in the video. We're going to be back in just a moment for Retard of the Week. You're not going to want to miss it. See you guys in a sec. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? AQUA Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. AQUA also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, AQUA is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download AQUA Wallet today. Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With NUNCHUK's HONEYBADGER plan, you get state-of-the-art multi-sig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. NUNCHUK is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The HONEYBADGER plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, Coldcard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the HONEYBADGER plan. DEBIFI is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multi-sig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Cold Card Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to debify.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. All right, we're back in, and I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to toss it straight to Walker here and tee you up, buddy. Fill us in. Who is Retard of the Week?
Retard of the week, and we got to get some in. Nathan. That's nice.
We got to get
some.
Where's the gifts from the private chat with the guy with the spinning?
I ran out of time. We'll get the segue video,
chat, dude. You can't talk about the private chat. Right. Please stop. Okay. I don't know why I'm holding this like this. It just feels right. feels a little bit retarded though, and that gets me into our retard of the week. This week, it was actually a pretty close competition. There was a lot of retarded shit out there, friends. So much. And if you like hearing about Retard of the Week, make sure to smash that like and subscribe and other things. And subscribe to everyone in this group, except for Joey. That guy, boy. But, I'm just kidding, guys. Okay, Retard of the Week, guys. Drum roll, please. Nathan.
Kids over there, I can't reach.
Impressive. Okay, so our retard of the week is none other than Boris Johnson. Dun. Now, you may be asking, why is Boris Johnson the retard of the week? That hay-haired motherfucker? What could he have possibly done that was retarded besides looking retarded? Well, I've got the answer for you. So Boris Johnson, and Nathan, do we have the visual for his tweet by chance? Just so we can pull it up here as a visual aid for folks, just so that they can see. And then I'll be happy to read the contents of said tweet. I'll get into it. Guys, we have heard a lot of Bitcoin FUD over the years. I haven't been around as long as Sessions, who, by the way, congratulations, 10-year anniversary, right, of making incredible Bitcoin content for people. Like, just absolutely amazing. Meanwhile, all that time, Sessions has probably seen so much fucking retarded FUD, right? And somehow Boris Johnson managed to encapsulate it all in one article for the Daily Mail. So you can see in this post here, he says, "I've long suspected Bitcoin is a giant Ponzi scheme, and now I'm hearing tales of woe that make me fear I'm right." You can then also see right below that the community note that got popped up shortly thereafter, which essentially says, one, Ponzi scheme issuers promise artificially high rates of return with little or no risk, citing law.cornell.edu. Next, Bitcoin has no issuer and its value is purely determined by the free market. The code is totally public and opt-in. Nobody can force you to run any particular version, from github.com/Bitcoin. And here's the reason that Boris, and again, guys, this was actually, it was tight competition. We were going back and forth in the private chat we have that doesn't exist at all if the Canadian government is asking. Shout out to Samson Mo as well for the, just ratioing the hell out of him. But this is the guy, Boris Johnson, that during COVID held private parties at Downing Street. Slip of the tongue.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Freudian slip.
Oh boy. Okay. It was just a little Freudian slip at Downing Street in violation of his own COVID policies. So really pulling a Gavin Newsom where it's like, hey, do as I say, not as I do, peasant. This is the guy. He's like, Boris Johnson is kind of like the Walmart brand version of Trump, except just like way dumber, way worse hair. I don't know what's going on there. I don't like to have ad hominems about people's appearance. But his hair is just stupid. And he goes for this like bumbling, like, well, I'm just Boris Johnson. Look at me with my silly hay hair. And it's like, this guy has been a media parasite for his entire career. You may not notice he had parents that were involved politically. And then he worked for The Spectator, The Daily Mail, he was a journalist, right? But really, he embodies that fiat journalistic style. That is how he got his start, right? That is what his entire career was. And he moves into politics. You wonder what the state of the UK is as it is today? but there's a number of reasons. You're not allowed to notice most of them, though. We're introducing a new segment next week, also called Noticing. In a world where you're not allowed to notice, 5 brave men decided to notice. Anyway, here's the thing. Like, I'm honestly, I felt bad about doing this segment about Boris Johnson because I genuinely think he might be retarded. And like, it feels wrong to do a retard of the week about an actual retard, right? Like, it feels wrong, but I think he's got, enough IQ points where I can make these jokes still. And it's like palatable.
He's got
right?
enough money. It's okay.
Like I'm calling him he's got plenty of money, but like, dear Lord, I mean, the guy said things to the effect of, first of all, can we bring up the picture that we have by any chance that Joe Nakamoto posted of his cousin Dorian
Absolutely
Nakamoto?
hilarious.
Grab that. Hold on a sec here.
You guys, it's hard. Okay. So Boris Johnson in this article in the Daily Mail posted a picture of Dorian Nakamoto. Now you may know Dorian Nakamoto as the guy who, because he had the last name Nakamoto, was accused of being Satoshi Nakamoto. He is not. He is not, guys. Just to let you know, he's not Satoshi Nakamoto. But this is who they put in there and they literally labeled the image Satoshi Nakamoto, the Japanese genius who allegedly invented Bitcoin and then disappeared. It's like, if you were writing the most retarded, like it seems like a parody. It seems like a parody. Like, there's no way anyone's still this stupid, right? There's no way you could I just don't know how mid-curve you have to be, because this isn't even low IQ. This is that dangerous mid-curve area. The most dangerous people in the world are mid-curve people who think they're on the right side of the bell curve. They are not. They are firmly mid-curve. But he said, I've long suspected Bitcoin is a giant Ponzi scheme and healing tales of wealth from far right. Later in the article, he says, but Bitcoin, what is it? It's a string of numbers stored in a series of computers. Who controls it? Who is in charge? Who do we talk to if they decrypt the crypto? For fuck's sake. There is no one except this Nakamoto, who may be no more real than Pikachu or Charmander. I don't know if that's actually how Boris's accent sounds, but so I apologize. But like, it's just, and I got to get your guys' take on this because it's just so painful. It's so painful. It's like if you lumped every stupid argument, stupid piece of anti-Bitcoin FUD into one beautiful piece. But you're like, it's like the Babylon Bee published it, right? And it's so stupid. You're like, this can't possibly, like, come on. In the year 2026, it can't possibly be true that this guy is this fucking retarded. But this is why Boris Johnson wins Retard of the Week. Because again, this is just insane to me.
Ben?
Like, I'm at a loss for words, but I need somebody else to jump in here because this is
we're trying.
It'd be enraging if it wasn't so stupid. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm shutting up now.
So when I see stuff like this, I took to replying to it with just a gif of the McConaughey meme from True Detective, where he's like, time is a flat circle, and he just slaps the beer can together. Like, that's what it seems like to me. It's just shit is just repeating over and over and over again, and it's just the same shit gets recycled every cycle. It's a new set of idiots rediscovering all the stuff that's been debunked by people before them and people before those people, and it's just it gets exhausting. I get why Bitcoiners get burnt out, and then they're like, they hang up the towel. They're like, no, I'm done. The next generation can deal with the next generation of idiots. But I mean, it's par for the course, and it's to be expected. And think of how many more people still have to do the most basic level of understanding Bitcoin. Like, we're not even close to being done dealing with shit like this. It's just, it was beautiful how he literally took every single thing here and just regurgitated it as if it was like the first time and as if there's no way to even check any of this stuff to see if there's any updated information. It was truly a work of art, and well deserving of Retard of the Week.
Did you see the article itself is funny, right? The like core of the Ponzi claim is that he knows a guy who was in a bar in Oxfordshire who gave $500, 500 pounds to another guy in the bar who promised him to double it after like some investing. And then that's the core of the story.
Amazing.
He ended up losing 20,000 pounds during the
amazing.
that's
Maybe his friend is actually the retard of the
They're
week.
both
Like-
retarded. Do you want to hear it? I'll give you guys a quote. You tell me if you know who said it, okay?
Okay.
In 2022, a man said, "We're going to make Britain a global hub for crypto asset technology." Do you know who said that?
Con?
Boris Johnson. How about them apples? How
They
about
will
them
just
apples?
repeat whatever
Crazy.
is like. They never have an original thought. Every opinion that they spout is just coming from either like some polling group, some data center, coming from their lobbyists. I love that we also had Saylor in there, like ratioing the crap out of them with 32K likes to 4.8 likes for old Boris there. Bitcoin, and I hate when people say Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. It's like, before you continue with that argument, please define what a Ponzi scheme is. Just let me make sure that you understand what a Ponzi scheme is before we continue. Because no, like trading cards and commodities, it's like, oh, it just depends on someone else coming in and buying it. You're retarded. That's not a Ponzi. Bitcoin is not a Ponzi scheme. Excuse me. A Ponzi requires a central operator promoting returns and paying early investors with funds from the later ones. Bitcoin has no issuer, no promoter, and no guaranteed return. Just an open, decentralized monetary network driven by code and market demand. Brandon, your thoughts? You're muted. That or my headphones aren't working.
Well, that could be as well. No, I mean, again, MI6 got to them. Like, this is what are we going to do here? It's like you said, it's the politicians. They just kind of float with the wind. They're like wind socks. So it's like whatever the way that, and this is where everyone's waking up to all this, and this is why the money needs to be fixed, because everything flows downstream. Shit flows downstream at the end of the day. So if you punch a hole in the oil well up at the top of the river, everything, you can't have honest society from dishonest money. You can't have good fruit from a bad tree. So these things to be expected. And that's why, like someone said in the chat earlier, there was like, all these channels, they just talk about conspiracy theories now, or they just talk about whatever. And the news today, it's like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, we're going to talk about, good, Bitcoin content, how to use certain tools. Obviously, if you're watching, BTC Sessions, the channel and BTC Mentor, you're getting like, hey, how do you actually use these things? But at the same time, current events trump future trends. Like you gotta be real. Bitcoiners have to be real with themselves. That's why we talk about these things here at the end of the day, because the great Rush Limbaugh knew that better than anybody. One of the richest celebrities in the world. He built his empire on that. Current events, we can sit here and talk future trends all day. No one gives a shit. Bitcoiners should know that better than anybody. No one cares. So anyway, coming back full circle to all this is why fixing the money is so important. So we don't have to talk about this bullshit day in and day out. That's why we don't want to talk about this stuff. I hate current events. I hate this stuff. I'm sure many of the Bitcoiners here on the panel, in the chat, can't stand it either. I want to go spend time with my family, do other amazing things, touch grass, do my calling, my passion, all these different things, right? Paint some amazing art. But what are we doing here? We're doing this because we have to fight this information war. We're fighting this constantly. We're fighting these people that just change, like wind socks. So to me, it's just it's inevitable at the end of the day. But it's only if people stand up and actually say, make Boris Johnson retard of the week, make Brian Armstrong call these people out for who they are. Evil's going to do what evil's going to do, but evil only persists when good people stand and do nothing. So at the end of the day, here we are. This is us standing. We're going to continue standing until we win. And we're going to win.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like,
I'm the only one standing here.
But no, you're absolutely right. Like, we do not think for 1 second that we're not in an information war, and it definitely feels like the temperature's gotten turned up a whole bunch lately. I feel like the 2016 era, the corporate media realized that they lost control over this thing. They lost control over like podcasting and basically the new airwaves, and they're doing everything they can to get back in and get control over it. So there's going to be all these politicians are just puppets, right? They're just the media arm of somebody else, the financial industrial complex going out there and putting out what they want. So yeah, we got to talk about it, because the unfortunate thing, like, Jesus Christ, like everything's just going crazy. Like I saw like some like CIA, what was it? It was CIA release documents confirming like they're fucking with the clouds. And it's like, Jesus, like every conspiracy theory is just coming true, one right after the other. We're in the middle of like a not war, to Walker's point. We're in the middle of a recreational conflict in the Middle East. And there's going to be, there's going to be misinformation on all sides. They're going to probably underreport losses and casualties all around. They're going to have some disinformation campaigns. They're going to use public airwaves also to get bad information or try to obfuscate information going to their enemies in this situation as well. So of course we got to touch on it, because the majority of people, not you guys watching the show, you guys are fucking amazing and we need you on this goddamn mission. But the majority of people, like when I go and talk to no coiners, holy crap, am I disappointed. Now again, to Walker's point that's going to come out of his mouth in 30 seconds, they are Canadians. So I get it. It's really fucking bad, but it is so disappointing when you go talk to most people how bought into the mainstream narratives, kind of first order thinking, no skepticism, no curiosity. You feel like you're out there alone. So you got to kind of just like grab the megaphone and start shaking people. Like, can you at least wake up to the fact that no, Bitcoin is not a Ponzi. In fact, it's your only fucking life raft off this thing. Joey, your thoughts?
I mean, what can we really say about the information war? It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. Only recently, like you mentioned, it's gotten away from the powers that be. Here in Canada, we are under attack in a big way, obviously. We got some kind of production issue there.
Tech issues.
We're under attack in a big way, mostly because there's a clear sort of growing dissent from what used to be a pretty docile population, especially within their commentary online. And much like the YouTube chat tonight, much like many of the group chats many of us are in, much like the conversations we have around our kitchen tables or at pubs, there's a growing wave of distrust, of unhappiness, of dissatisfaction. And I think in the sort of most extreme cases, people are willing to now do things to protect their way of life that they just weren't willing to do years ago. And Bitcoin's going to help you do that, man. We talked about it a little bit. I know we cracked the joke about the handsome comment, but it is true that, you start to think about things in a different light once you expand your time horizon. And suddenly you're not that interested in, filling in Excel sheets. Suddenly you're not that interested in having another piece of pizza or I guess I'm breaking my don't drink on weeknights rule for you guys, but these things all start to take effect. And the thing that people who aren't in Bitcoin don't understand is when they look at a Bitcoiner and see, man, this guy's got a little bit of firepower financially, he's got a family, he just got lucky on the Bitcoin thing. While it is true that Bitcoin has treated most of us very well, what those people are missing is the compounding effects of good decisions that came from the attitude that was attached to buying Bitcoin years and years ago that we embraced. And those compounding effects start to put you on the vanguard, the tip of the spear. People will follow you into battle. They'll follow you into an uncertain time because this guy got it right before. I don't know anyone who got it as right as he did. And I want to make sure that I'm on the right side of this thing when I come out, on the other side of whatever the state has in store for me over the next decade or 5 years or 10 or 20 years or whatever. Right. And Bitcoiners have been that spear tip for a long time now. And it's hard to argue with that at this point.
I completely agree. I also want to point out, sorry, Brandon, I also want to quickly point out that, I agree. You should never take advice from somebody that you wouldn't trade places with. And it goes beyond just this group. But I can tell you for certain, every Bitcoiner that you see on screen right now has a smoking hot wife that gave him a bunch of kids. Life is good. And they used to have a stack. They lost it in a boating accident. But fuck, man, you're going to get great. If you're not where you want to be, maybe go talk to a Bitcoiner. He's probably got some words of wisdom. Speaking of words of wisdom, Brandon.
No, it's not going to change. I don't know who it was years ago. It was 5, 6, 7 years ago. They were just saying Bitcoiners, the literature, everything they put out, what we're saying right now, are we going to get every single thing right? No, of course not. But we're going to be generally batting probably, 800, 900, most of the things we talk about tonight are based in first principles, nature's law, laws of thermodynamics, right? So it's coming from that place, like Joey just said, from the tip of the spear. And that's why we found Bitcoin in the first place. That's why Bitcoin maximalism is a canard. It's a fake. It's a false meme, because the very fact that we are Bitcoiners means we were very open-minded to come to Bitcoin in the first place. I was very political in the 2000s growing up as a child. Then I got into real estate, gold and silver, studying monetary history. And then I left all of that to come to Bitcoin. Literally leave it. You have to leave and get off the Titanic. That's scary. Scary as hell when you've been told your whole life, like someone mentioned, I think Joey mentioned earlier, when you're a frog growing up in the water your whole life, how do you know different? You don't. And when you're told your entire life that ship, it can't go down. There's no way. It's unbreakable. You can't sink this thing. And then it's going down all of a sudden. Well, guess what? It's very hard to get off that ship into the North Atlantic. It's very cold at night. There's icebergs all over the place. And there's this little boat, this little nascent asset class, little nascent protocol sitting off the boat. That's very tough. And it's very real. But that's why Bitcoiners are who they are. That's a mindset that brought Bitcoiners here. It's because we had to go through that gauntlet. You have to go through that fatal funnel. When you're going through a kill door and clearing a house, as a Navy SEAL, or as Joe Kent would know, as a Green Beret, when you're clearing a house, you have to go through that door. And guess where? All the barrels are pointed. They're going through the door. They're pointing at the door. And that's where Bitcoiners had to go through that. We didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, you know what? I'm a genius. I'm Nostradamus all of a sudden. Bitcoin's the answer. It's all the pain. It's all the experience, the regret, the rug pulls, the learning, the thousands of hours of research. That's why Bitcoiners are Bitcoiners. And that's why there's not that many of them. A lot of Bitcoiners that think they're Bitcoiners, they ain't Bitcoiners. Let's just call it what it is. It's a certain class of individual, but that class of individual will grow to a couple percent of society and they will pull the rest of society forward. This is how it's been always done throughout the irate small minority, the American Revolution, on and on and on. And you pull the rest of society forward. Most people didn't fight the American Revolution. It's gonna be the same this time. So buckle up, mount up.
Agreed. Walker?
I want to say something to the Bitcoiners out there who are not OGs into Bitcoin in 2020. I bought all the way up to the 2021 top. I bought all the way down to the bottom. I bought all the way up to the 125, 126K top. I've been buying this whole way down because I'm not a trader. I want to say something to you guys because a lot of times I think that people look at like people on Bitcoin podcasts and they think like, well, it's easy for you to say like, you bought Bitcoin when it was a, couple moose shekels. And it's like, no, I didn't. I have bought every bottom. I bought every top since I finally got into Bitcoin, since I finally woke up. And so what I want to say to you is you are still early. You are still so early. And I want you to understand that it is frustrating sometimes. I remember the first bear market that I experienced, 2022. That was my first bear market because I only got it in 2020. It was brutal. I bought all the way up to 69K aggressively, more aggressively at the top than I did on the way up, right? Because that's what you always do. I want to tell you that I hear you, I see you, but you're still right. And you know what? I'm so glad about buying all the way down to that bottom. And so the last thing I'll say, because I'm going to keep this to 60 seconds for once, I swear, guys, is just everyone who is buying Bitcoin today is going to be an OG in 10 years. Everyone who is buying Bitcoin today will be looked on in the future and they'll say, wow, they got so lucky. They were so early. But if you're here right now, you didn't get lucky. This wasn't easy. This wasn't a cakewalk. That you busted your ass. You tried to create value for society. You tried to make some fucking fiat, or maybe you earned it in Bitcoin, but you tried to make some fucking fiat, like for most of us. I still have a fiat job. I work my ass off, right? And then I podcast on the side, which is working my ass off even more, as all us podcasters know. 10 seconds left. You are doing the right thing right now. You're doing the right thing for your family. You're doing the right thing for your children. You're doing the right thing for your future children, your future generations. Stick with it. The pain is your teacher, and you are on the right side of this thing. It sucks at times, but embrace the suck, embrace the pain, and stack hard when everybody else is freaking the fuck out. End of rant.
Ben?
Nice. Well, first, before I kind of round out here, I do want to say every time Walker says 60 seconds, don't trust, verify, my friends.
That was like 70 seconds. Come on, man.
That wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad.
Come on. I'm gonna get a timer over here.
But yeah, I mean, I would echo all this. Again, we're the theme of the show, we're talking about all the whole shit show of war, of very kind of fourth turning-esque kind of shit that a lot of Bitcoiners were anticipating. I mean, you always anticipate stuff like this to come at some point, but also how to navigate that. Like what is legitimate, what is not, what do you want to avoid, what do you actually want to do? And at the end of the day, it all comes down to, again, you gotta protect yourself and the fruits of your labor. So, I firmly believe that vehicle is Bitcoin. It's the answer to not having to repeat this shit again and again and again, at least for individuals that go to their Bitcoin standard. I saw somebody in the chat asking, oh, what's up with the SAT market? We're doing that. That's coming up again before the Bitcoin rodeo here in Calgary. I think that, again, being the crazy ones and moving to a Bitcoin standard as early as possible can be a tricky thing to navigate, but it also will pay off in spades down the line when you're already settled into that ecosystem and everybody else is trying to figure it out as they rush for the exits. So, begin now. Start down that pathway. Some people have come to this show over time through kind of more traditional stuff, looking at ETFs and MicroStrategy and stuff like that, and then get here and they start hearing about self-custody and all these things. Start learning. If that's not you, if you don't have your hardware or whatever it may be. By the way, brand new MK5 just arrived. I'm pretty stoked to start playing around with it. But start learning your self-custody. How do you protect your Bitcoin? How do you keep it secure, resilient? How do you pass it on to your family? And just start learning bit by bit, and you'll be infinitely better off for it. So anyways, I think good a time as ever to round out here. We got in a pretty good rip here. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. We had like a solid rip and chat the whole time here. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to keep doing it. Now, I will say really quick, I've seen a lot of people asking, a lot of people saying like, oh, you guys got to do this 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And like, we hear you, but like, there's just no fucking way that we can make that happen. It's a big ask. So we appreciate it, but I don't know. Either way, it's fun to get together on Wednesdays, gents. So I'll finish it here. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed the convo, make sure you drop a like and tune in next week for all of the Bitcast goodness with what I've heard is both the fastest growing and most handsome podcast in Bitcoin. Even with Walker Steiner, he still out handsomes most other podcasts.
Definitely Joey.
Donnybrook never hurt anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So thank you guys. Drop a like. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This was Bitcast. When I first got into Bitcoin, I was overwhelmed. The jargon, the security risks, the fear that one mistake could cost everything. I remember staring at my screen and wondering, are my keys safe? Did I do this right? That experience is why I started BTC Sessions. For over a decade, this channel has helped millions of people like you learn how to use and secure Bitcoin. But I realized something. For many people, videos aren't enough. Everyone learns differently. Some need to ask questions in real time as an expert walks through their setup, their goals, and their threat model. And certain things like advanced cold storage, inheritance planning, privacy, and node or mining setups often can't be fully solved by watching another tutorial. So I built BTC Mentor. I recruited the best Bitcoin educators on the planet to work with you one-on-one. Real experts, real answers, personalized hands-on guidance tailored to your exact situation. Whether you're brand new or building a complex setup, we meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step. By the end, you don't just hope your Bitcoin is safe, you know it is. If you're ready for that level of confidence, then head to btcmentor.io and book a call with us today.